So next algorithm we're going to learn is bucket sort. So bucket sort is a very interesting algorithm. So here we divide the unsorted element into several groups called buckets. So we're going to create buckets, and each bucket is then sorted by using the suitable sorting algorithm or recursively applying the same bucket algorithm. Finally, the sorted buckets are combined to form the final sorted array. So you can see over here one bigger array is there, and that is converted into different buckets. Then after that, those elements are sorted in that particular bucket, and after that it's taken down in the main array. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create bucket, we're going to add elements to the bucket. So this is adding elements to the bucket. Then we're going to sort individual buckets. So you can see sorted individual buckets. Then we're going to merge it into the bucket of original array. So that's the 4 steps we're going to do. So let's jump to the VS Code and write this, and we'll understand each thing in detail and get it. So let's jump to the VS Code. Now we came to the VS Code. So I'll click over here and I'll create one name of the class, that is bucket sort, bucket sort dot java. All right, I'll create bucket sort, and here I'm going to write each and everything. All right, so what I'm going to do is, for that we'll include few files. That is going to be the array list and collections. We're going to do it using array list and collection. All right, and we'll take it whenever it's needed. All right, right now we're going to write the normal bucket sort function. At the last we're going to write the main method for that. All right, so let's write the function and do it, how it's going to be done. All right, so let's create public. I'm going to take an array. So let's say we're going to take this time maybe floating array we're going to take. So let's say float, we can take float array also. All right, float and nums. Okay, so this is the bucket sort method we declared. Now we're going to store the size of that nums array into something. So we're going to nums dot length is the function for that, glen So this is going to store the size in n. Now what I'm going to do is, we said that we in 4 steps it is done. So we'll create bucket. So we'll see how to create bucket. We will do what? We'll add elements to bucket, and what we're going to do is we're going to sort individual bucket, and at the last 4th step we're going to do is merge sorted buckets into the original array. Okay, this 4 steps we're going to do, and this 4th steps we're going to write it also. Okay, now first thing is how to create a bucket. So we're going to use array list for this. So we're going to use array list, and array list will be of float type. So float type I have taken. Okay, now this is going to be the array, and we going to write what, let's say buckets I'm writing. So we are creating buckets, I'm writing buckets. Okay, new array list, and that's of size what, n, right? Okay, we have to include the array list because this is an library. Okay, we imported that. I'll come down over here, and how to create bucket, we'll write a for loop, and I'll go to int I equals to 0, I less than n, and I plus plus. Here what we're going to do is, we're going to we're going to add in the bucket, that array we have, array list we've created. We're going to we're going to initialize here, and it's going to go there. So what I'm going to do is buckets of I, this is the array, it's going to go to that position, and write new array list, array list. So this will create bucket individually, differently. All right. Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to add elements to the bucket. How to add elements to the bucket? That is what we're going to do. So we're going to write a for loop, and int I equals to 0, I less than n. I'm going to talk about each thing at the last, very last. Then that time I'll explain each and everything if you didn't understand right now also. So I'm going to create one bucket variable, bucket index. Let's say bucket index. I'm going to create, and in that what I'm going to do is I'm going to typecast it, and one formula I'm going to write that is going to create the bucket index. Because it's a float type, we have to get it because we are writing an integer, so I have to typecast it. So I'll typecast it, and I'll write n multiplied by nums of I. This is the formula to create the like find the index, right? So to add element, which like where we have to add the element, right? So which in which bucket. Okay, now here we're going to create one more thing, that is, we're going to use the function, that is we're going to add that in the bucket, because we found the index, in which index we have to add. Now how to add it, you already know. So buckets is our array list name. In the bucket index we have to add it. Bucket is the index name, and for that we're going to use add method. And add method, that is going to get it from what, nums array from I. So this is going to add the values in the bucket. Now we have to do what, sort the individual bucket. So how to sort it for the individual, I'll write another for loop here. Int I equals to 0, I less than n, and I plus plus. Okay, here I'm going to use collection dot sort. I'm going to use collection, that's going to sort the bucket. I'll put it over here. I'll write buckets of I, and that's going to sort all the element. All right, now what I have to do is I have to merge the sorted buckets. Okay, so I have to include this one also, because this is also an library. All right, it's done. Okay, buckets dot sort, and this is done. Now I have to merge the sorted buckets. How to do it? So we're going to write, and let's say index, I'm going to take index equals to 0, initialize it, I'm going to initialize with the 0. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a for loop. I have to merge it actually, right? So I'll write a for loop, and here what I'm going to do is int I equals to 0, I less than, it is going to go till n, and I plus plus, it's going to go. And I'm going to write a for loop where it's going to get it. So let's see, for each float, for each num variable, I'm taking, put it in the like bucket, and give that value. So what I'll write is buckets of I, and that's going to get it to where, that's going to get to num value will be given to num index plus plus, right? So num, in the nums array, index we have to increment the index also, index plus plus, and here it's going to be given. All right. Okay, so this is going to be the whole function. If you don't understand, just iterate through it and you'll understand all things. It's written. Still I'll explain each and everything what actually is done. Okay, this is the function. I have to come out of it here, and here I have to write the main public static void main method, and I have to pass string array argument, and here I'll pass the float array. All right, nums. Let's say we're going to store floating value here. So for storing the floating value, you already know that suppose you want to store 2, so I have to write f also regarding that. If I want to store 0.5, that's going to be f. We're going to write f also, right? If I write 0.1, then f we have to write. Okay, 0.1. 0.9, then let's say 0.7. Suppose I want to sort this. Let's take all the in points only, and 0.3. So this is going to be f. All right. Now before sorting and after sorting, you already know what I have to write. Okay, if I let's write it down. So what I have to write is system dot out dot println. Here I'm going to say is let's say before sorting array was what. Before sorting is going to show what was there. So for that I'll write a for each loop, and that will print the previous array initially was there. So I'm going to take float, and variable I'm going to take num. For each num in the nums array, print the system dot out dot print, and not write println num, and that's going to be addition of this space. Okay, now this will print the array. Right now here I'll take one next line, so that it separates out dot println previous, like original array, and that separates out. As I'm going to take this this one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the bucket sort. Now here if I call the bucket sort, so bucket sort function is called, and nums is going to be passed, and I have to come down here and I'll write the same thing over here. I'll copy it and I will paste it down here. Okay, so this will help us, and at the last here I can give this system dot print out ln, so that it print to the next line. I'll write system dot out dot print ln, and this is going to go to the next line from here. All right, this is all done. Why this error is showing? This method sort is undefined for the type collection. Okay, so what it is saying is we can't use it. I'll hit Control S. Okay, let's run it once. Sort is the function is there, but why it is showing that, I have to figure it out. So the error we found, that is going to be not collection, it's going to be collections. S is going to come as collections dot sort. But I'll hit and Control S, and I'll delete it, and I will run this code now. So let's get the result now. So where is the main method? Let's go to the main method and run it. Okay, so let's see what output it is giving. Okay, so we are getting the correct output. So let's understand one by one again. All right, so in this code, like we started with a like some libraries that you already know, that this collection is going to be considered, and this is okay. I have to remove this one. Okay, now it's good. I'll hit Control S. Okay, now what is done is, in this code that we started with this, and we get the input length and this. After that we created the bucket. So here we can see an array of array list float called bucket is created. It will hold the individual buckets for the sorting process. So the length of the array we set it, that is n, which is the size of the input array nums. All right, from here you can see the for loop. This initializes the each bucket as empty array list using the new array. This is what empty array. All right. Now after that, what we're going to do this, we're going to add elements to the bucket. To loop iterates through each element of the input array nums, you can see, and the variable bucket index is calculated by multiplying the value of n with the current element of index, like nums of I, and casting it to integer. You can see this determine the index of the bucket where element should be put. So this is to find the index of that. Now if you want to give the iterations, like how it's going to be done, if we multiply and do it, and you'll get that each and everything is in the correct thing. So that's the algorithm, it's defined already. Now the elements num at I is then added, nums of I is then added to the corresponding bucket with the add method in the array list. Okay, so it's added in the where, in the array list. Now after that we sort the individual bucket. So for sorting the individual bucket, we are looping through it, and we're using the collection dot sort method is used to sort the elements in each bucket in ascending order. It's already getting sorted. Now we have merge section. So this section basically merges the sorted element from the bucket back to the original array. That is, original is what is the name of the original array? That is nums. So the variable index over here is used to keep track of the current index of the nums array. So where the sorted element should be placed. Okay, now if I see, that here we have written a nested loop that iterates through each bucket and each element within the bucket using an enhanced for loop. That is the for each loop we are using. So each element is assigned to number index, and then index is incremented to point to the next position in the nums array, right? So this is all. Now in the main method, you already know we have declared the float array. Then we have said before sorting is this, and we write a for each loop to print this one. This is getting printed when call the bucket sort function, then that is called, and after that it come back here, then it's print this, that before, not before sorting. Sorting, I have to write here after sorting. I'll hit Control S, and if I hit Control S and run this, that time it will show that before sorting and after sorting. Alright, it will run and it will show, okay, that before sorting is this and after sorting is this. So this is all about bucket sort. Now in the about heap sort, we're going to learn when you're going to learn a heap. After that, we're going to learn the heap sort. So here we'll skip the heap sort, and in that portion, whenever we're going to learn the heap, that time we will get that topic. Thank you.